So when we ask people questions, we come with solutions to them before they even come to us often. And to be able to have the capacity to address that as well as maybe something else is why I think we've stuck with so many large companies for so long.
I am so excited for today's episode because this is actually the Lisa and KO show powered by Pip. Kevin, I'm so excited to have you here. It took
Lisa.
some convincing,
Yes.
but we had to do it. Everybody wants to know our story. We have a love story we need to tell.
Okay.
I have my version.
All right. My
Your
version won't
report.
be as good as yours.
Okay.
But Lisa and I knew each other. We were DMs back in the day, and we used to talk about the industry. We both love the industry. I started in the mid-90s. Obviously, I was on Long Island, you were in Connecticut. Both knew each other, I think, from a distance, and I think we got together for a dinner in New York City, and I liked her right away. I realized this person comes from it from a different perspective than I do, but she really understands the industry. And then from there on, we became better friends. Yet I started to realize that we feel the same way about the space and how to make the space better, how to really help EdTech startups and content providers, and also how to do things that we love to do and then add value to folks' lives. So we both love the industry, but we saw there was a lot of changes coming, and they were coming fast. And we weren't sure if the current organizations in the space were really ready for those changes, and they had the flexibility to address the changes around the academic calendar and technology that was coming. So we used to occasionally talk about how we could do things better, to the point where we decided, like, hey, you know what? We could create an agency that could make this a lot better. Like, these are not just ideas. We could put these ideas into action and create a business from scratch. And that was 15 years ago. So here we are today, and I'm being browbeaten into doing a webinar.
This is a podcast. It's actually 15 years
Feels like 16.
because, you know what? So my version's a little different.
All right.
My version is I always heard about Kevin O'Sullivan out in the field, right? And I left publishing, traditional publishing as we know it, to do contract work. And I was doing several projects, and I remembered there was this guy, Kevin O'Sullivan, who I met way back when, and I would interview for jobs, and I would hear your name, and I would not get jobs because you got them. And I thought, like, I got to meet this guy. And we met over dinner in New York, and then I got a call that you moved to Connecticut, and I thought, well, I'm starting this, and who's the world's greatest salesperson according to all the reps in higher ed publishing? And so
All
you
right.
were it.
I like your story better.
You also had K-12 experience, which
That helped.
was fantastic. You also had career college experience. You had custom publishing experience, and you were actually also kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Excellent.
hasn't changed.
Yep.
But what I realized is that we were doing a lot of project work, but we really needed to have a focus on driving revenue at this business. And you clearly were the best person to help me do that. And here we are,
Yeah.
15 years later, and a 7-figure full-service agency. And I am super proud of that.
Me too.
So everybody asks us, like, how did we do this? And I think that hopefully over the course of the series, they get to know how this really came to be. And it wasn't easy, but we take what we have done to grow our business to help the clients that we serve. And it's so funny because, everybody is freelancing or consulting or coaching or advising. And one of the things I always think about is, like, you want to take advice from people who actually did what you're trying to do. And I think we've done what a lot of our clients are trying to do. Like, we have a great story here.
So it's been good.
No, it really has been a good ride. And I think maybe speak to the fact that we really are both coming at it from a sales mindset and how that really makes a difference. I mean, the business has evolved a ton, but we always say, like, revenue solves all problems.
Boost your company's digital presence with Partner in Publishing. We leverage proven strategies to expand your reach and increase sales. Whether you're a startup or an established business, we tailor our digital marketing strategies to meet your specific needs. From search engine optimization and high conversion digital ads to organic social media and targeted email marketing, we employ essential marketing strategies to achieve your mission and deliver impactful results. Partner with us to meet and exceed your sales and marketing goals and stand out in the education sector. Learn more at partnerinpublishing.com.
What do you think the difference is in working with an organization like ours? Like, when people ask you, why and how do you do it all? Like, what's your answer?
I think we were committed to it early on. I think a lot of people try freelance, or might be in between jobs, they might be feeling their way around. They try to do it, they take on a project or 2, it works, but then there's no pipeline, or maybe the project goes sideways and it doesn't work out for them. I think from the beginning, we were determined to build a large organization around this. I was absolutely determined because I never thought the academic calendar made a lot of sense. I never thought the idea of hiring someone 12 months a year for a job that really only requires 6 months made sense financially. And as BC companies were getting involved and other organizations were investing in tech, I knew things were going to change. And I think we were committed to that up front. It's like getting married, right? If you get married thinking you're going to get divorced in a couple of years, it usually doesn't work out. But I think early on, we were determined that this was going to work. This is not a sideline thing. This is going to be an agency that goes on for a long time. And like any new business, I think we were naive. I thought it was gonna be a lot easier than it was, and, there was that's not always the case. We had to grind away, we got lucky, and then we just kind of expanded upon our business as we went along.
One of the things that I think we did really well also was listen to what our customers needed,
Yeah.
right? Like, we work sometimes with leaders at companies that think they know all things before actually listening to the people who they need to serve. And early days, it was all about sales and grinding. And then we figured out pretty quickly that we could be out selling stuff, but if we didn't have the intel from market research, we were probably spinning our wheels. And then we realized if we had intel and we had sales, but we didn't have tools and collateral to tell stories, then we were just selling features. And so I think it's really important to have a full service partner that isn't going to overcommit before actually having the data, right? And this idea that we can take a client from concept to close has really been what's been the special sauce to our success, I think.
I think you're right. And the excitement of the fact that we do everything under one roof. So when we ask people questions, they think they want, to your point, they think they have a pain point that they want to solve. But if you dig a little deeper, that's not really their pain point at all. It's something completely different. And to be able to the capacity to address that as well as maybe something else is why I think we've stuck with so many large companies for so long, because we fill gaps as they come open, and we anticipate what's coming around the corner, whether it be AI or whatever the new trend is, and we try to use it to our clients' advantage. And I think people really appreciate that we come with solutions to them before they even come to us often. And just by maybe mentioning some of the things that we're working on or thinking about, it gets them to maybe think a little bit more and think about how we can help them and make them look good at the end of the day as well.
One of the things that we struggle with when we're doing sales and marketing, particularly my teams, are that we sell services and platforms, and then the implementation
Yep.
sometimes doesn't go off in the way sales and marketing people want it to. And you have grown the client success and support business. That's probably 35% of our business.
Yeah.
And so how important is that?
I think that was one of the great lessons of COVID. People adopted, they rushed into solutions, and understandably so. Moved into a virtual, uh, they needed virtual solutions as soon as possible. They picked them. Some of those EdTech companies did very, very well. but they didn't really train them. And teachers felt as though that it was being pushed upon them rather than, hey, this is a more effective way to teach my class. And the companies that invested in training the instructors won. The companies that didn't were very disappointed the following year when they lost a tremendous amount of market share the year after COVID. There's a lesson there, that we have to adhere to. I'm a big believer in training faculty. I think people forget, that they have a lot of other things going on. And if you don't spend the time to hold their hand, train them, send them videos, walk them through it, whatever it might be, chances are they're not going to use it effectively in the classroom and then drop it. And then you become a commodity. So really rounding off, one of the things I love about PIP, I always say this is, you can hire us for the peak season of training. You don't have to hire us 12 months out of the year. You can hire us for 3 months for peak season. We can train your people up. And we have studies that show the retention rates skyrocket when you do that. So protecting the business you have is something that we've often thought about internally. It's been one of the reasons we've been successful. But we're also helping our clients think along the same lines, and it's helped them retain their business as well.
One of the things that I think I've seen in my portfolio of clients, I focus a lot on early to mid-stage customers, whether it's early to mid-stage on a campaign or a platform
Yep.
or an actual company, is that this is the long game. You cannot sell an ed tech without having proof of concept and all your ducks lined up with market research and then stories that what you're building actually works and will make instructors' lives easier and that you're going to support them. And that is really hard for companies, small, medium, and large to do because it requires tremendous focus and it requires that you show up every day, making sure that you're solving problems,
Yeah.
putting good content and good stories out there, supporting the educators to make sure that they feel like they made the right decision with the right partner. And these things don't happen overnight. We're not selling widgets. We're selling services, whether it's platforms or services. We are really asking people to change everything they know and love and try something new.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen overnight.
Listen, if I was a faculty member, I'd be very reluctant to make a change in my technology. If I know a particular technology would I want to spend my summer learning something new from scratch? Probably not. But if I have someone who's going to be a partner and help me through it, not only would I potentially use it, I become an advocate for 'em. And that's the key. When we talk to clients and I say, hey, give us 5 or 6 advocates, I'd love to chat with them and see why they like your service. And they don't have any, that's a red flag, right? Because that means that those users are not telling other faculty about how great that service is. And you're not getting any word of mouth. Without word of mouth, it's really difficult. And I think that we've seen that here at PIP, but we try to encourage our clients to develop ambassadors, develop real fans, or they used to say delighting your customers, right? But there's a lot of truth in that. If you're just like, all right, thanks for adopting the product, and you walk away, you're just digging a hole every year. You're gonna have to refill it again next year. So I think that's a big piece of it that a lot of clients overlook until we bring it to their attention. And we could put something around that that's a reasonable cost and shows an excellent ROI. I'm goofy, but I get excited about that because I think that makes their lives a lot easier.
Marketing really has modernized in ways that can truly help sales if everybody is under the same roof and can be aligned on what's working and what's not. We talk all the time about like, hey, does social media really work, right? Can we measure and attribute all the spend on social and podcasting and digital ads and sometimes it is hard to attribute where leads are actually coming from. But at the end of the day, one of the things that I try to impress upon you and some of the other clients that we have is that if people don't know who you are, they can't do business with you. And that is, I think, the power of marketing now. Social media marketing is technically free, right? You can put a video up on LinkedIn You tell me. Email, I don't want to say email is dead. It's certainly a way to very inexpensively get the messaging out. But if I said to you, Kevin, let's just do emails, what would you say to me?
It's not gonna work. I mean, I think it's only gonna get worse. I read an estimate recently where with new AI tools, they believe that email will be up 400% next year. So people are just gonna be spamming, and it's just gonna get worse. We may be in a situation like they are in Europe and Canada where they, have spam laws that could be coming sooner rather than later. That doesn't work. The cold calls don't work. You have to get creative, right? And my thing with social media, though, I think brand awareness is great and a must-have. I get comments every week from friends or clients about what we post on social, so people look at it, but it's crossing that from awareness to educating your client on what we do. They have a general sense, but I think the trick is when they really sit down with you, preferably in person, and understand what they do in comparison to their pain points. And us, it's not us selling them anything really. It's us talking about what our capabilities are. I don't think I've ever had a meeting where lights didn't go on, where they said, boy, you could do that at that rate and accomplish the following. And I just think that's such a powerful tool. And social media is just another way to get that conversation started. It's another way to get attention about what we do and an opportunity for us to educate people. It's the education that I think has become more difficult for everyone in our space post-COVID. I think that's what a lot of people are struggling with at the moment.
So we have to talk a little bit about this because, yes, I do think AI solutions are going to diminish the importance of email.
Yep.
One of the things that we try to talk about a lot is the power of great content and good storytelling and how you can send emails and put a litany of features
Right.
in your email content. However, there are emails that I sign up for, newsletters I want to read, educational content I want to consume,
Yep.
case studies I'm interested in reading, learning, dissecting. So, email
Yeah.
as a one-sided communication, I believe is going to be a tough road to hoe. However, I'm thinking content, case studies, white papers, research that proves your solution or platform actually solves problems. What are your thoughts as a salesperson if I said to you, we can arm you with a lot of really great content so that you could help tell your story?
Yeah.
How what do you think that does
Th
for an
that's
organization?
that's a little different than what I was referring to. I was thinking more of spam, one size fits all email. I think what you're talking about, particularly if it's directed direct at their pain point, like when AI can go into a district and find out what the minutes of their last meeting was about and what their pain points are, right? If you can now lead with a video or some high level of content that shows you're in tune to their issue, I think that's a different thing, right? I think you'll still struggle with opens, right? But I think you have a much better chance. And then you have the chance of not just awareness, but actually educating them on what PIP does. That's like 2 calls at once, right? That's like the original email followed by a webinar. And if you do it right, you can get both of them accomplished at the same time. But I think you have to spend a lot of time and effort on figuring out exactly what people are looking for, coming up with a dynamite subject line, and addressing that from the start. I think to me, I don't know, there should be a different name for that. Obviously, it's email, but that's more of an educated email or pain point focused. I don't know what that is, but I consider that something else, right? And I do think that there's still room for that. But then I think you have to come at them from a different way too. Maybe you meet them at a conference. Maybe you have a group of advocates for a conference breakfast that we did recently, right? Maybe it's doing a workshop, right? So I think that you can start there, and then that branches out into several different things in order to do it. Because I think if you just go with the one way, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually where I wanted to get you to, right?
Okay.
And that is that you can't just do one thing.
Right.
And it can't just be cold calling or just emailing or just going to conferences. And I think it's really difficult for companies, small, medium, and large, to do all of those things without the help of a partner, because you need someone that comes at it from a different angle, different marketing strategy, opportunities for you. How are we going to know pain points? Your marketing person, who is, you think, a unicorn, expected to do market research, writing copy, setting up conferences, doing your social media, getting your podcast going. There is a lot of work to be done, and you don't need to do it all. You don't need to go from 0 to 100. You need to try a whole bunch of things and lean into the ones that actually work. But we don't know any of that unless we do the pre-work, which is, what are your customers thinking? That's market research. Having your salespeople provide some input.
Yep.
Having your marketers really working in concert with these other teams to make sure that what they are putting on paper actually is resonating. And then you can use social and paid media in ways that you never could before. Companies like Coke and Procter & Gamble used to spend millions of dollars to get in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
In our space, we talked about this the other day, you can really niche down and you can just spend money on the audience you want to reach. We've never been able to do that before. There's tremendous opportunity in getting to the right people with the right message if you follow the process and you have some patience and you have the appropriate budgets to lean into different channels. So it's an interesting place to be because there's so much opportunity, and you want someone who's kind of navigated those roads before so that you don't make the same mistakes. And we work with hundreds of companies. We don't know everything, but we know a lot of things, and that's something, experience is hard to pay for in a short period of time. We've been doing this for a really long time. And one of the things that people often ask us, and we leverage contractors in a lot of the work we do also, but clients will say, like, how is it different working with you versus working with a solopreneur? Like, why would we use PIP and maybe not someone who's just in between jobs?
Right. Well, I think, we tried working with contractors in the early days, and we found that folks are more dedicated and more driven when it's what they do. Right. If this is their job and they have KPIs and they have annual raises, and they take it more seriously. And I think that is a defining difference. We still use contractors occasionally when they're vetted and we've worked with them in the past, etc. But I also think, and I think we touched on this earlier, when it's what you do and it's your business, not just a stopgap, it's something to do while I look for another job. I think you take the results more seriously because you're going to be held accountable. And also, you're not going to get up and leave mid-project when you do get, another job and leave in disarray. The other thing that's come up a lot lately, and I'm not sure why this is the management of the freelancers. I think many of our clients find it very difficult to manage individual freelancers. They're tracking them down a little bit. They're looking for weekly reports. God forbid they leave, they have to go out and find another one. The fact that we handle all that management in-house and bake it into our process, and they're being managed by people that have worked hundreds of projects in the past, I think that takes a load off their mind. They're truly handing it to us rather than hiring an individual freelancer and hoping for the best. That hoping for the best often doesn't work out. And they have one point of contact with either the direct PM, or they can always come to you or I because they know how seriously we take it. So I think over the last few years, that's become pretty apparent in the market, and we're seeing more people come directly to us rather than working with individual freelancers.
I mean, I would say we started our business with freelancers.
Yep.
And there are a lot of great contractors and freelancers out there. I would argue that we've learned some of our most innovative ideas from working with really smart people in the industry. There is something that matters when it comes to building a business. And our best contractors wanted to be part of something bigger.
Sure.
They wanted to be employees. They wanted benefits. They wanted time off. They wanted to be part of building our business. We have people here who have been here 15, 10, 7, 6, and this is not a business for the faint of heart. It is hard. And so it's been a good mix of people that have been contractors and advisors and employees over the years.
Yeah.
But I do think that our best talent have been those that have come on board to really help us build what we've built today. I'm not opposed to it. I'm always a little worried when we're hiring someone who's a freelancer or contractor in between jobs, because everybody eventually is going to find a full-time role unless we bring them on board. And then we have gotten left in the lurch ourselves. We hear and pick up projects from companies pretty regularly where the freelancer has decided to do something else or they disappear, and it's because they're not part of something bigger, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people can do it very successfully, but I think in this project work that has a pretty long sales and marketing cycle,
Yeah.
unless you're guaranteed that this person is going to be doing the work till the end of the agreement, you can be exposed.
Absolutely. And also having someone manage you on a regular basis, knowing that you have to have results. It's not an easy thing working for an agency because you have to drive results weekly. Where if you're a rep in higher ed or K-12, you have that annual in number year. That's a much different mindset, right? To kind of come into this scenario. And I think people want to be part of something successful. I go to those happy hours, so one of my favorite parts of the job. And I see people really enjoying what they do, enjoying having a drink with their friends on a Friday. I don't think there's a lot of that left in our space, which is really a shame because I think that that's where you learn a lot of things. That's where you find mentors. You start talking about I get better? How do I groom my career? And how do you get to know people on a personal basis? You don't get that when you're a freelancer working from home. And I think it's a subtle thing. Might make me seem old, but I miss those days when I would go out with colleagues, maybe for a nice dinner and just talk about what's going on in their territory. And I think I learned a lot over the years and owe a lot to those people. And I also think they're vulnerable. If they get offered a couple of dollars more to go somewhere else, they're going to go because they have no connection to the organization. So I think building a culture where people are excited and want to be there, it really pays off not just for us, but for our clients as well.
Are you ready to elevate your brand and captivate your audience? At Partner in Publishing, our video marketing services are all about turning your ideas into captivating visual narratives. Whether it's a compelling promotional video, engaging social media content, or informative tutorials, we've got you covered. Our expert team works closely with you to create videos that not only look amazing, but also drive results. Don't just be seen, be remembered. Visit partnerinpublishing.com today and discover how we can help you outshine the competition.
One of the things that I think has been really fun for us is evolving.
Yep.
And that is hard for people who have been in this space for a really long time. You think you know because you've been doing this a really long time, but change is imminent and you've got to learn the new tools and learn the new ways of reaching clients and doing what works, but also finding more creative ways to tell your story. And we always say, like, yeah, partner in publishing to some people is dead. I don't think so. I think everybody is a publisher. If you are selling something and you're putting content out into the world, whether it's digital, print, podcasting, all these mediums are, LinkedIn is the world's largest publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in ed tech and you need a partner, there isn't anybody who has more experience working in this space than we do. And so I am confident that we have seen stories, small, medium, and large, and we have experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's a whole new front, like you mentioned with AI. But knowing just the business, the cycles, the personas, what makes them tick, what the objections are, those things are likely to always be the same. But how we deliver content and services and how we talk about them has definitely changed.
Well, you know what's really painful? Not evolving. It's painful and often short, right? We've seen our share of those people over the years, of companies over the years that don't evolve, and you can't afford to do that, you know? So I think it takes more work to evolve, but it pays dividends long term. So I always give people a hard time about that. When they say, "Oh, I don't wanna do that," I'm like, "Well, what are you gonna do then?" 'Cause, you know, you have to do something, and you have to keep current, and I think we have plenty of stories, without obviously mentioning clients' names, of folks that we have seen not do something, and it hasn't ended up well. And there are answers out there too. I think that's the other thing that unfortunately a lot of people I like and respect I've spoken to recently, and they sound somewhat defeated because they don't think there's any answers out there, and I totally disagree. I think that there are answers out there, but it requires you evolving and trying new things. People are afraid of change. They don't wanna do it. So I think we try to give them some courage to change and try to do some new things, and I think that's something we both take a lot of pride in.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of EdTech Elevated, powered by Partner in Publishing. We hope you found today's episode inspiring and informative. Don't forget to subscribe and stay connected for more insightful conversations with EdTech leaders and innovators. Until next time, follow us on social to keep up with the latest trends in the world of EdTech. I'm Lisa March, and this is EdTech Elevated.